Welcome, everyone. This is my cultural anthropology, my discussion on attending a Juggalo Championship Wrestling Lunacy television taping. I attended this taping on November the 22nd, 2025. And I'm just going to basically just tell you the story of me going there. The show itself is not really all that important. I went for the vibe, pretty much. So, a little backstory. I don't know that much about the Insane Clown Posse. So I looked them up just a little bit, just to get a sense of what kind of people these guys are. And they're just basically two normal guys who got into all the stuff that I was into as a kid. They just got into it a little bit older. They were into ninjas and video games and pro wrestling and hip hop music. And basically just took all of that and slathered the Insane Clown Posse stuff all over it. And essentially that is their brand. I flipped through the Internet Archive on one of their books, and I think it was Violent J, who seems to be the front man for the group. I don't know. But he was the only one that attended the JCW Legacy show. The other one didn't even show up. But we'll talk about that in a second. But he talked about, anything that was outside of reality was something that they were into. And that was pretty interesting, as they grew up. Now, they became, according to them, rappers in like the early 90s. And they had already been doing backyard wrestling by that time. So these guys, before they really got involved with the WWF and WCW in the late 90s, they had already pretty much been bullshitting around with wrestling. So there's a genuine love of the art form there between the two guys. The two of them grew up in Oak Park, which borders Detroit. It's not Detroit proper, but it is a bordering city to Detroit. Just for clarification, there was a certain rapper who also used to live in Oak Park. His name was Royce the 5'9". And I remember there being a time where Royce the 5'9", calling himself the King of Detroit. And those of us who were in the city, well, we didn't like that very much. But there was, a lot of older guys who really didn't like that. So we used to have this public access television station. And you could buy time and host your show on there. And I don't remember exactly what the channel was called. It slips my mind right now. But we had local Detroit rappers who would always buy time every Saturday to host their own show that they had shot with cameras and stuff. And this was a very interesting time because as Royce the 5'9" is on BET and MTV calling himself the King of Detroit and all this sort of stuff, and he's got the song, I believe, with DJ Premier called Boom. That's floating around out there. He's getting death threats in the city. There's rappers driving around looking for his family members, trying to find out what hood he's from. There was guns and drugs and the whole 9 yards. I legitimately thought they were going to find Royce the 5'9" and kill him. I really did. And of course they never did find him. But it was an interesting time. And there's a lot of people who say they're from Detroit. But what they mean is they're from the Metro Detroit area. All right. So the Metro Detroit area just means there's Detroit City proper. Then there's the suburbs around it, which maybe certain cities are directly bordering Metro Detroit. So Warren is where Eminem is from. That is across 8 Mile. That directly borders Detroit, but it's not Detroit proper. It's a different city. And Oak Park is another one. It borders Detroit, but it's a different city. And it's a different city because it has its own police. It has its own schools. It has its own government. It's a completely different fucking city. It's so much a different city. It's in a different county. Detroit is in Wayne County. Oak Park is in Oakland County. And Warren is in Macomb County. So the Metro Detroit area encompasses at least 2 to 3 different counties. And it depends on how far you just consider the Metro Detroit area, because sometimes Metro Detroit somehow ends up near the University of Michigan, which is in Ann Arbor, which is 30 minutes from Detroit, and it's in Washtenaw County. So there's people coming from all over the place who are saying they're from Detroit, and it's not the case. Okay, so the Insane Clown Posse, they're a local rap group, and they of course become nationally well known, and they love pro wrestling. So they've been running a wrestling promotion since I think 2000 or something like that. Since their run with WCW ended, they decided to go into the wrestling business. So they've had the Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So because they're big fans of like pro wrestling, they're also big fans of hip hop music, and they become fans of like the Beastie Boys and Run DMC. These guys are a little bit older than I am. I was born in 1984. They're older than me because they were, rapping and everything in 89. I would have been 8 years old, and they were already, I think, maybe early teens or something like that. I'm not going to give you a full biography of them, just kind of give you a general idea. And this is important as we start talking about the demographics of the people who are at the show. So speaking of the demographics of the people who are at the show, they were 99% Caucasian. Most of the people there were white, obviously. But this is why saying Metro Detroit area is so important, because there had never been as many white people in Detroit at one time, outside of like a hockey game or a Lions game or a Pistons game. Then you see tons of white people in the city. But on my side of town, in that particular neighborhood, there ain't that many white people. There's probably like 4, and like at any given time. So, but Harpo's, for those of you who don't know, Harpo's is a really old facility. It used to host like metal bands and stuff like that. It still does, but now Game Changer Wrestling uses them as a venue for wrestling shows, and now Juggalo Championship Wrestling is using them for wrestling shows. I showed up right before the doors opened. Doors opened at 6:30. I was there at 6:20, maybe. There was a line down the block and around the corner. I mean, there were a ton of people there. When I went to the Game Changer Wrestling shows, the first one, it was that long. The first Game Changer Wrestling show I went to, it was the same demographic of people. They were down the block and around the corner. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But as I was walking down the block, I took note of all the people wearing face paint and all the people wearing Insane Clown Posse jerseys, and almost all of those people were in my age group and older. So there were almost no young people wearing like Insane Clown Posse jerseys. So, just from overhearing conversations and listening to people and talking to them, I got a sense that these people were mostly fans of the Insane Clown Posse. They weren't necessarily fans of pro wrestling as much as they support their guys and support everything that they do. So that felt interesting, because what the hell are they coming to a wrestling show for if they don't like wrestling? But at the same time, if you support everything that your guys do because you've been following them for a long time and their popularity peaked in like the 2000 or something like that, then yeah, it makes sense. I ended up being behind this one lady who was oddly just very interesting. She was wearing an Insane Clown Posse jersey. She seemed to be in her, let's say, mid to late 30s. And she had a child with her. Not a small child, a teenager. And this teenager looked like a hostage. I'm saying she had her hands in her pockets, and she was wearing a hoodie with spikes on the hood or whatever. And this woman has a camera, like a professional camera. And she's trying to get this girl to take pictures. And she's like, take the picture, man. And she's trying to get the picture taken. And the girl's just standing there looking like one of those, I hate you, mom, kind of things. And she's joking with everybody like, she fucking hates me. Look at what she won't even fucking smile for the pictures, man. Will you smile? And she's drinking like something out of a can. I think it's Liquid Death. I've never seen anybody drink Liquid Death before in my life. And she's like, she's just drinking the whole goddamn thing. And this poor child is standing there trying her best She's cold at the most. She's very cold. Her mom's drunk. She's got this camera. And she's trying to get this girl to smile, and she refused to smile. So she's like, fuck it. You're not going to smile? Fine. And so she breaks out her phone, and she starts taking these really cringe pictures with her tongue out and her booty sticking out. And I tried my best not to laugh, but other people around me was laughing. And this woman she was very entertaining. She was entertaining the whole night. But she was playing jokes on people as they walked by. Like, this black dude walked by, which, oddly enough, there's another black guy here. And he was with other black people. And she looked at him and she was like, we're full, man. And dude just looked like, wait, what? And I noticed when I looked at him, something was wrong with his eye. It's like somebody had put their fingers in his eye and yanked it out and then put it back in cockeyed. It was crazy. But she was like, I'm just fucking with you, man. The doors ain't even open yet. And so the guy was like befuddled and just kept going. And then another group of people came, and it was kind of a preppy white guy, and he had somebody with him wearing an Insane Clown Posse jersey. And as they walked past her, she was still trying to get her daughter to take this picture. And she says, you dropped something. And then he turned around. He's like, I fucking gotcha. He said, you fell for the old fucking trick. And I was like, this lady doesn't know anybody. And she's taking pictures of strangers. Like, she asked this woman, this guy right in front of us, he's like, my fucking daughter won't take any pictures. Maybe you guys want to take pictures. And then they was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And so, like, they took pictures or whatever. And she was like, follow me on Instagram. Everybody needs to follow me on Instagram. And then she had this guy with her. I'm going to assume this guy is a boyfriend, not a husband, a boyfriend, because she's sending him back to the car to get stuff. And she's like, anytime he comes back, she sends him back to get something else. I was like, oh, hell no. Like, this was something. Okay. Like, this is something. So she's being very entertaining. There's, other people who are, freezing their balls off. And, right before we go into the door, there's the young lady goes in first, the 13-year-old, and her mom goes away, like walks away from the door, because I guess the husband, boyfriend, or whatever hadn't come back with the thing that she sent them to go get. And another guy is right in front of me, and he turns around, he says, have you ever been in this place before? And I was like, yeah, I've been in here before. They have wrestling shows here, no big deal. And he's like, I've never been inside this fucking building, and I've heard about it, and, fuck it, it's free, right? And he just starts laughing, and like, fuck it, it's free, I'm just gonna go in there. So we get patted down, they give us this coin. It's like a pretty thick coin, silverish in color, and they say, if you want to get a turkey after the show, turn in this coin and get a free turkey. I'm like, okay, fine. I put the damn thing in my pocket, and I go towards, you have to see inside of Harpo's. It's not a huge venue. You go inside there, and the merch table is swamped. Like, there's tons of people at the merch table. So whatever whatever it cost them to have the show, they probably made it up in merchandise. No doubt, they moved a ton of merchandise. All right. It's pretty much sit wherever you want. I found a third row seat, in front of me, like, almost not directly, but, there's a front row seat. There's a guy there. He's in a Insane Clown Posse jersey, and he's enormous, and he's in a wheelchair. All right. So he is taking up a whole lot of space. Then there's a bunch of people, and, as the music plays in the venue, they're kind of in a holding pattern. It's all 90s hip hop. There's nothing after like 2000. There's like Busta Rhymes and DMX and, all the stuff from that era. And I'm just kind of like, wow, they're playing Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm like, wow, this is something. This is very interesting. So as the people start filing in, most of the people are walking around with their newly purchased merchandise, and they got these new books that Insane Clown Posse apparently has printed up. That's all about their life in wrestling. I didn't know about it until the show was almost over. because they showed a vignette for it. I didn't know what they was carrying around. Otherwise, I probably would have bought one just for the vibe. But as people are, starting to file in, the drunk lady, she's taking pictures again. She's up on the bar. She's snapping pictures. She's yelling at fans, people that she recognizes, and that becomes a normal thing. As I sit there and I'm people watching, I see folks walking up to folks, hugging like they know each other and they've seen each other before. And some people are greeting for the first time, first name, fist bumping, giving hugs, all this sort of stuff. I'm like, man, this is completely different from like a wrestling show. You go to a WWE show, these fans barely look at each other. In this place, they're treating it like it's a family reunion almost. And I guess that kind of happens with the cult-like atmosphere of being with Juggalo Championship Wrestling and being a Juggalo or whatever. And so we have the beginning entertainment. This is about 7:30 thereabouts. We've been seated. They've got chances to buy merchandise. I just needed to find somewhere close to the ring so I could see. And after people clowned a little bit, taking pictures, and music starts to play, like odd music starts to play. And some guy comes out and he's a rapper. And I have no idea who this Caucasian man was, but he kept using the word ninja. And he kept saying, "You ninjas in this motherfucker, man." He's loud. I'm like, what is going on? Ninjas? I'm like, ninjas? Like, you might as well go ahead and say it at that point. So he's in the ring. He's rapping some nonsense. I mean, 15 minutes full of bullshit. Just nothing. I don't... nothing, right? So he bows out. The fans are very appreciative of him. Apparently, he's somewhat tangentially related to the Insane Clown Posse. So that's fine. Then I'm thinking, okay, the wrestling show's about to start. It's like 9:45, 9:50 at this point. Nope. Another guy comes out. He comes out and he's wearing a Grant Hill Pistons jersey. And he's in the ring. He's got like this he's got like pink hair or something like that. It was very bizarre. And he goes on this rant about, motherfuckers not being from Detroit. I'm from the old Detroit. And I'm like, huh? And he starts going on and on about being from the old Detroit. And he's like, that's the name of my song. It's called The Old Detroit. All of you new motherfuckers, man, just moving in, just know I'm from the old Detroit. And he starts rapping about being from the old Detroit. And I'm like, this is fucking terrible. This is top 10 worst things I ever put in my ears. And I put pennies in my ears. I put Q-tips in my ears. I put all kinds of dumb shit in my ears. And this is still top 5 worst shit I've ever put in my head. This shit is terrible. It's awful. And then the music cuts off. Like, out of nowhere, it just cuts off. And the crowds just start chanting, "You fucked up. You fucked up." And he looks around for a little bit. Paused. And then the music starts back up. He just starts talking like, "I don't know what the fuck happened. Something happened with the speakers." And he continues with the song. And I'm like, oh my God, this shit just will not end. It will not end. And then he plays another song. The new song is called Blood Sacrifice. Okay. And he's rapping about blood sacrifices and all this bullshit. And then he yells in the middle of the song, "Do a blood sacrifice for Hillary Clinton." And nobody responds to that shit. Like, nobody says anything. They just kind of looked and was like, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? So he goes through that bullshit song. And okay, that was it. I'm thinking, okay, this motherfucker's got to give it. I wish we had like some kind of Showtime at the Apollo situation here where somebody could come out and yank this motherfucker off stage, right? But oddly enough, he gets another fucking song to play. And this song is called "I'm Simping Over You." That's what he says, right? And it has this sample, and he's fast rapping over a slow soul sample. Bruh, this man, he fucked up. He just, each song was worse than the one before it. He is terrible. Beyond words. All right. I was sitting there incredibly frustrated. I'm 41. I started yawning. I was like, oh, this guy gotta go. This guy gotta go. So he's in there. He's like, daring me to do a fucking moonsault. And he gets up on the ropes. He's like, daring me to do a fucking moonsault. As he's, singing this stupid fucking song he's singing. And he's fast rapping because I don't know why these white guys think that fast rapping is like rapping. But we have to understand what you're saying. That's the point of the fast rap. I don't understand what you're saying. And then also, you still should be on beat. You are off beat. Way off beat. So, he ruins everybody's night. Fast rapping some simp song. It's stupid. Pointless. And then, they give him golf claps or whatever. And then he does the fucking moonsault. Off the top rope. And people pop. They're like, oh yeah. So the biggest pop he got for the whole fucking night. He was out there for 15 minutes. The biggest pop he got was for doing a moonsault. I mean, at least he got a pop. Can't complain about that. So as I'm sitting there, I get accosted by this guy. He's drunk and he's staggering around. He's like, man, I'm fucking drunk. He's a guy about my age. Got beardy. He's got like fucked up front teeth. And he gives me a sticker. He's like, man, I'm going to give you my last fucking sticker, man. And he's like, here, take this sticker. And I'm like, okay, I put the sticker in my pocket. I didn't even look at it. And then he just says, I make these, man, and I give them away every time I go to an ICP show. I bring a bunch of fucking stickers and I just give them away. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. And he's like, my name's Louie, man. And he offers his fist for me to fist bump. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be rude. Fist bumps Louie. I shouldn't have done that because Louie bothered me all fucking night. All night. He was on my head. He was drunk, staggering. And he was like, if I ever bump into you, man, just know I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just fucking drunk. I'm just fucked up, man. And he's talking. He's like, you been to a gathering? I'm like, no, this is actually the first ICP show I've ever been to. He's like, you got to go to a fucking gathering, man. What are you talking? You got to go to a fucking gathering. They have like 3 wrestling shows at that motherfucker, man. There's people all over the place. I'm like, all right, I'll consider it. I'm just trying to get him to shut the fuck up, right? No, he keeps going. So as the show is progressing, more and more people are accumulating on the Nerdy Aisleway. And because you can sit wherever you want, they're just allowing people to accumulate there. And there's a family in the front row right at the guardrail. Okay, the little boy, his mom, and his dad. His mom is wearing an ICP jersey. His dad looks confused, dazed and confused. And the little boy's got a sign. I don't know what the sign says because I couldn't really see it. So, Louie's fucking bothering me. And the other guy's on my side. He's drunk. He's got a girlfriend. They're cuddled up here. She's mostly looking at her phone, not paying this shit no attention. Okay, fine. After a while, Violent J shows up. He's fat and old. Barely gets in the ring. Thanks everybody for showing up. Kept calling us ninjas and ninjettes. Saying, thank you motherfuckers for being here. Throws up the devil horns, whole 9 yards. I'm like, okay. Why do they keep calling us ninjas and ninjettes? Why is this happening? But when he came out, he got a huge reaction. And this is the first time I ever heard an ICP song because this is his theme song. So it's some shit like, don't like chicken pot pie. I'm like, what? What is this shit? What is this? Like, what are they doing to my beloved art form? I started listening to rap music at 9 years old. I've never heard rap this bad before in my life. This night featured the worst rap I have heard in 30 years. And I've heard of Silk the Shocker. All right. He's one of the worst rappers of all time. But these motherfuckers that I see in this ICP show are, if I could remember their names, they would easily be in the top 5 worst rappers I've ever heard. But since I can't remember their names, they're going to escape. Just remember, put a pin in this. These are the worst fucking rappers I've ever heard in my life. All right? These people are terrible. I've been to talent shows where people have bombed on stage that have been better than this. All right? My friend of the channel, Young Certs, I've been on stage with him when he rapped. He's better than this. He was better than these people. All right? This stuff sucks so bad. And ICP, this is the shit that people are coming to see. This is the stuff they've been paying to see for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years or whatever. This shit is terrible. But the vibe is great. They're cheering them and they're throwing up the devil horns with them. They're going along with it. So Violent J announces, tonight's free show is great for the city and yada, yada, yada. And then he says that they're going to offer another free show on December 21st. And there's huge pop. December 21st, going to be another free show. Yay! Everybody's very excited. Obviously, this is a good decision considering the demographics that, people who come into these shows. It might not have been so many people if it was for free. All right? I mean, if it wasn't for free. If they had to pay, it might have been nutty. So another guy, not Louis, kind of starts saying, when is the fucking wrestling gonna start? If they don't start fucking wrestling, I'm gonna fall asleep in this bitch. I'm too drunk. And I'm like, wow. So this guy he's doing his thing, right? So we're trucking along here. 8:15, the show finally starts, and in the ring is some guy wearing looks like a robe that you would see Hugh Hefner wear. But most importantly, he's in the ring with a scantily clad young lady, white girl. She looks like she's wearing lingerie. She's got all kind of shit in her nose and shit in her lips. And she's wearing basically nothing. And I was like, oh my goodness. For starters, it's super cold outside. And she's in this joint barefoot in lingerie. And she's a card girl. She's just going to walk around with the card. And she has no physical attributes whatsoever. Like no huge tits, no great ass, nothing. There's nothing there. She looks 14. All right. I'm pretty sure she was an adult. God, I hope so. But she looked like she was 14 years old. It's odd to see a young lady with such an undeveloped body. All right. So they announced the first match is between two female wrestlers. One of them is a blondie. Another one has black hair. She's got a ball cap or something, and the cap is turned up. It says Big Al. I think her name was Alice Crowley or something like that. She comes out to do a promo, and during this promo, she says that she's the showrunner for the women's division, and she's the boss of the women's division, and that they're going to have a weapons match, but the special rule is only she could use weapons. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's Vince Russo. Vince Russo loves giving people authority. He loves authority figures. And when you watched his old WCW, you'll see multiple authority figures. He loves commissioners, general managers, and yet he's still the boss of the show, which he appeared later on as the boss of the show. But, okay, whatever. So they have the match. The entire time, these drunk guys, because they've been drinking since 6 o'clock. All right, it's, closer to 8:30 at this point by the time the match starts. And they're yelling, show your tits. And the girl gets up on the top rope. The other girl kind of gets close to her. And another guy starts yelling, eat her fucking pussy! Eat her pussy! Like, he really wanted that really bad. Like, he wanted her to eat that pussy really bad. It didn't happen, though. Much to his chagrin. So, The dark-haired girl, she's using the weapons. The blondie tries to use the weapon. The referee takes it from her. They get heat. Like, oh, that's nice. The people know what to boo, right? So, as the black-haired girl was cheating, the crowd starts chanting, "Twist her tits, twist her tits, twist her tits." There was no twisting of the tits. The girl with the black hair won. I don't remember what her name was, and at that point, it doesn't matter. The match wasn't all that long. Okay, so the people are okay now. Wrestling has started. There's some backstage vignettes. Violent J is cutting promos, talking about how he's been kicked out of his own show, and Vince Russo claims that he's going to take JCW to the next level, and what's it going to be like that JCW is going to be the highest rated wrestling show, and it won't have anything to do with him. How is he going to handle that? And I'm like, it's a YouTube show, man. What you mean ratings? It's on YouTube, and it's not even on YouTube yet. They're playing the vignettes for us in the building, so that we can follow the story. So, then they announced Vampiro. So Vampiro comes out. People pop for Vampiro. They pop big for Vampiro. Vampiro gets on the microphone and says that he thanks everybody for the reaction. It says that people in the back are going to be jealous of him, or more jealous than they already are. So don't make too much noise. And that was humorous because Vampiro kind of has a history of having sort of an attitude. Him and Conan constantly got into it in Mexico, and I heard that he got into it with some guys in WCW as well due to his massive ego. He was very popular at one point in time in Mexico as well when he first went down there, and he's still kind of coasting off of that. But Vampiro has been beat to shit for like 15, 20 years. But he is the showrunner of JCW, so he's talking about what he wants to see tonight, and he's building the card. Louis is next to me, jabbers on about something. He's constantly talking. He's sitting down in his chair. He's bent over. I mean, he looks like he's about to faint. Then he's like, I gotta fucking stand up. So he stands up and shuts the chair like he was about to hit up somebody with a steel chair. Just shuts the chair closed, puts it up against the wall. John, you're the fucking man. And I don't know who he's talking to, but he's like, John, you're the fucking man. I'm like, okay. He thinks I'm John, so okay, fine. I'll be John then. Fuck it. Then he's talking to some other guys, and he's fist bumping them and talk about how much he loves, music, and he's from Toledo. He drove up here from Toledo, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Toledo's like 30 minutes away, and I'm not that surprised that he's from Toledo. Now, this becomes important a little bit later, but let's put a pin in the fact that Louis is from Toledo. Okay, so Vampiro, he's out there, and he introduces Madman Pondo. So Madman Pondo, for those of you who don't know, he's been wrestling forever. He's a garbage wrestler. Okay, he looks like somebody's grandpa. He can barely walk. Nobody outside of these girls have come out of this shoot and is under the age of 40. All right. He's in the ring, and Vampiro's talking about he's the angel of anarchy. He's going to make somebody bleed. Just a bunch of nonsense. Okay. So then Vampiro calls for James Storm. Now, I didn't know James Storm was going to be there. So this is what I purposely stopped watching the show for. Now, James Storm was on the show prior, but I didn't know he was still there. So good. James Storm comes out. Then they announced from Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Anderson. He comes out. Now, he wasn't on Juggalo Championship Wrestling when I was watching it, so that's new to me too. They announced that there's going to be a number one contenders match, no holds barred, between Mr. Anderson and Lance Storm. And not Lance Storm, sorry, James Storm. So Vampiro then says that he's going to put a $10,000 bounty. So whoever the first man to make the other one bleed will get $10,000. So Anderson gets the microphone and he talks, and he's talking about how James Storm hasn't been home in 30 days and he's been traveling and doing all this stuff. And then he says, well, I've been doing that for 20 years. And, that means that you're tired. I'm going to put your dick in the dirt. He healed on him. James Storm got the microphone, says that they don't put dicks in the dirt around here. They twist dicks off, and then the fans start chanting, "Twist his dick, twist his dick, twist his dick," and they agreed to have the match or whatever. And then Mr. Anderson drops James Storm and leaves. James Storm gets the microphone again and promises to continue twisting Mr. Anderson's dick. Very bizarre stuff, I must say. So then they played this amazing vignette for Kerry Morton, who is the son of the legend himself, Ricky Morton. That guy has been wrestling for a couple of years now. He's very young, but he has a lot of charisma and a lot of personality. He's a little small, though. So they played this incredible vignette that's actually pretty long. It's almost like a movie trailer. And the whole time, Madman Pondo's just pacing in the ring, trying to stretch. I mean, you talk about pathetic amounts of stretching. He was terrible. The fans are yelling at him. They're waving to him because they like him. He's been around these parts for a long time, so they're interacting with him, talking to him and stuff. Louis is yelling at him, "Fuck yeah!" and all kind of stuff. I'm like, all right, there's a lot going on. So then there's another guy who comes out. He's dressed like Santa Claus, and apparently this guy, his gimmick is that he has a bunch of different gimmicks. And he's dressed like Santa Claus, and he starts throwing candy canes into the crowd. And he didn't throw any in my direction, but he threw some a little to my right. And there's people scrapping and clawing for candy canes that he just launched into the crowd with absolutely no warning. Just whoosh. Just like, what the fuck? Now, that was the direction of the hard camera. So I'm underneath the hard camera, okay? So, there's that. So out of nowhere, they start having their match. This guy asks Madman Pondo to sit on his knee, like, Santa Claus. So Madman Pondo sits on his knee. I'm like, oh my God. And then he gets up and drop kicks a guy while he's on his knee. And they have a stupid fucking bloody match with cheese graters and stop signs and a bunch of nonsense, right? Again, typical Vince Russo horseshit. Okay. So the next match was a 6-man scramble. And one of the guys was called the Neon Ninja. Now, I've seen this guy before. All right. I'm not sure what his name is, but I've seen him before. So because that was the only name I really recognized, I looked him up. It turns out that this guy had at one point in time wrestled for TNA, and his name was Facade, Facade, but he wrestles under the name the Neon Ninja, or the nickname the Neon Ninja. And soon as Louis saw him, he starts popping. I was cool. I was hanging out with that fucking guy at the gathering. What's up, bro? Yeah, he's constantly, he's shaking me. I was hanging out with that fucking guy at the gathering, man. He was super excited. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Louis, you're going too much with the shaking. Hey, did I give you a fucking sticker? Because you're the coolest motherfucker in the world, man. Somebody usually would have hit me. I'm like, yeah, you're getting close. Just don't shake me. Just don't do that. He's like, okay, man, I'm sorry. But I was hanging out with that fucking guy at the gathering. You need to go to the gathering. I've been gathering since 2021. It's so much more fucking fun, man. It's like 100 of these types of shit plus 100, bro. I'm like, all right. And I looked away to deal with this motherfucker who was shaking me. I turn around, and there's a motherfucker in the ring with pizza dough, twirling it. I'm like, who is this motherfucker? So I look him up, and his name is Luigi Primo. He's a pizza chef, and his gimmick is that he's a pizza chef. His gimmick is that he twirls pizza bread. Pizza dough. Now, as stupid as it is, and it is fucking stupid, he never stops twirling the pizza dough. He never stops twirling the pizza dough. It goes on and on and on. He was twirling the pizza dough so much and for so long that I actually gained a level of respect for the business. Like this respect for the business. He's not embarrassing himself. His gimmick is that he's the pizza tossing guy. So he's going to toss this fucking pizza. And he was doing it during everybody's entrance. He's twirling the fucking pizza. I'm like, what is this? Why is this happening? So then there's another guy comes out. His name is Jeeves. All right. I don't know. They're singing the song, something about a manservant named Jeeves. I have no idea. Okay. So Jeeves has some small frame, thick white girl with him. He goes around and he sees the little pudgy white boy right at the gate. And the white boy holds his sign up. Jeeves takes the sign and flings it. Just without even thinking about it, just took it and flung it. And the boy sat there and his mouth was agape. And his mom just looked at him and she started giggling. Like not like hearty laughing, but like giggling. And the kid's dad is still spaced out. And he's sitting there, his mouth is wide open, like he can't believe that happened. He is literally astonished that a heel took his sign and threw it. And it's gone, right? And he's sitting there. He didn't complain. He didn't cry. He just stood there and was like, what? Like, they do shit like that? Like, for real. So they get in the ring, and a couple of drunk juggalos from the back, if they start passing the sign forward, and eventually the kid gets his sign back. So then the people in the ring, they announce some other guy. This guy's name is Stephen Flo, who looks like some kind of, if it were possible for Raven and Razorfist to have a baby, this Stephen Flo guy would be it. I looked him up too. Apparently his gimmick is that he is a parody of Pearl Jam and the 90s grunge scene. Now, I've heard of Pearl Jam. I used to listen to Nirvana. I didn't know that you could parody that in a wrestling show. Like these guys are getting really creative. And this goes to show how crazy WWE has gotten, because you don't see crazy characters like this. And these are not even really over the top gimmicks yet. That would come in a minute. But this guy, his character is that he is a 90s grunge guy. And there's another guy in the ring twirling pizza. And there's another guy in the ring with green dreadlocks. Okay? So there's a lot going on here. So while I'm stupefied at this Stephen Flo guy, the G's fellow slips out of the ring, kind of away from the hard cam. And he kind of goes over, shakes the kid's hand, and kind of talks with the mom or whatever to make sure the kid is okay. And the kid starts, yelling or whatever and making sure the kid still had fun. And I was like, man, he should just let the kid have that moment of pure fuck you. Like, nobody cares about your feelings. I appreciate that he left the ring. It was still dark, so it wasn't like other people saw it, but I was close enough to see it where he went over to make sure the kid was okay with everything and all that stuff. It was very nice. Now, while all of that was happening, there was another motherfucker in the ring, and he is a disco character. So he's wearing light up shoes, and he's wearing a disco jumpsuit. He looks like Disco Stu from The Simpsons. And I'm guessing that's what his character is. And I'm like, this is unreal. So this match is a 6-man scramble. All right. And I announced I talked about some of the people that was in the match already. I'm not trying to make this video much longer than it needs to be. So let's shorten it up a little bit by saying the the Neon Ninja won. All right. He's a flippy guy. He was the only one that got, any real reaction in the match. So there's that. So Vito comes out. Vito's next. Vito obviously is the wrestler from WCW. He's doing a mobster gimmick now. He's been in a one-sided feud with Tony D'Angelo from NXT, where he keeps tweeting these missives about how these guys are fake Dons and they're stealing his gimmick. Where did this guy come from? Anyway, like, he's really on some bullshit. And then Tony D'Angelo disappeared from TV, and he put out this really long tweet about how, nobody can do this gimmick but him. And Where's those other guys that were doing this gimmick now? I'm still here. I'm like, you're in a one-sided feud with these guys who don't even know you exist. The last time they saw you, you were wearing a dress. And now you're a mob boss? You're only booked because of Vince Russo. So he comes out. He gets no reaction when his theme song plays. But as soon as he starts talking, he starts getting a reaction because he's been doing this for a long time. He's actually a professional. People are yelling at him. One woman yelled at him, "You're an asshole." So he says into the microphone, "Your mother offered me that last night and I took her up on it." And I pop, huge pop out of me. Big pop, okay? So his opponent is cocaine. Yes, that it is what it sounds. It is a man doing a cane gimmick, except for his gimmick is that he's powered up by cocaine. Now, obviously, this gimmick has been exposed on the internet already, so I'm not saying anything that people don't already know. It is an absolutely absurd gimmick. The fact that the Kane character created all of these variants, like blue Kane and green Kane, there's like all these Kane variants now. Now, I took the time to look this guy up because I wanted to see like how long he's been doing this gimmick. It turns out that he got featured in Vice a year ago, November 15th, 2024. Apparently there's a gay cane, and a candy cane, and a piss cane. There is absolute absurdity on the wrestling internet. So this guy is very popular. He's been in Juggalo Championship Wrestling for a while. He was on the show earlier this year when I was watching it. So he's not, totally new. And plus, but I think that this new look for the character is likely because WWE probably sent him some kind of cease and desist, because if you look at the old pictures, he looked just like Kane, except white. So we know that a year or two ago, there was a wrestler called Blue Kane, who was Blue Kane, and he got a cease and desist letter from WWE telling him he had to change his name. So he changed his name to Blue Pain. So no doubt there was likely a cease and desist letter from WWE telling this guy not to do the cocaine character, or at least change the look of that cocaine character. So he did. So the character looks completely different now. He doesn't wear a variant of a Kane uniform. He kind of looks like a sort of generic masked wrestler. But I was trying to get into this match. Obviously, there's a lot of yelling and Louis being batshit crazy. He's not shaking me anymore, which is great. He doesn't really know these people, which is even better. But he's still being very annoying. I'm trying to take pictures, but the lights are too bright. And I figured out I was in a really bad position for pictures and such. Vito gets a lot of heat when he was, working cocaine over. The people were cheering for cocaine. They were very excited for cocaine. And it came time for cocaine's comeback, after he gets beat up for a while. And there's no comeback. And the comeback is cut off after like 2 punches or something like that. So that means Vito didn't even give the guy his comeback, which is bullshit. So it's ridiculous, but there's still people in the crowd meeting each other. They're still taking pictures and very happy with one another. And the match ends in a no contest. Too Tough Tony and Willie Mack come out there. I actually missed it because there was a lot of stuff going on with the crowd and everything, and I kind of got distracted. But in any event, Vince Russo came out. He then suspended Too Tough Tony and Willie Mack for attacking the referee. He claims that he took the J out of JCW, and it's his show now. So once again, Vince Russo is the ultimate authority figure on a show with other authority figures on the show. He literally did this with WCW, right? Where he would have Ernest the Cat Miller in these constant fights to see who's going to be the boss of Nitro, and yet he was the head writer, the boss. He could do whatever he wanted. And I'm like, why do you need so many authority figures on these shows? You don't need this many authority figures. He is the third authority figure to show up on the show. There was some young girl who said she was the showrunner. Then it was Vampiro who said he was the showrunner. And now Vince Russo is talking about how he kicked Violent J out of his own company. It's insane, okay? So as I was trying to get a picture of Vince Russo, who didn't get in the ring, I thought this guy spilled liquor in my chair. And it wasn't Louis. It was another guy, a big old fat dude who had, he looked like Bebop from Bebop and Rocksteady. You know, nose rings, everything. He's there with his baby girl. And he's trying to get close to the barricades or whatever, because he was want his daughter to see the show. And he puts his big mitt on my shoulder. He's like, bro, don't sit down. I spit in your chair. It was a complete accident. Don't sit down. I don't want to be an asshole. And I turned around and I'm like, you did what? Now, if you were following in the Discord, I said I thought he spilled liquor in my chair, but he had spit in my chair, meaning he like that in my chair. He said it was an accident, but he said, don't sit down, right? So Louis and this big guy, they're now best friends. They don't know each other, but they become best friends in 90 seconds flat. You know, Louis is like the sweetest guy in the world. He's drunk, he's annoying, but he's sweet. He offers his chair to the little girl. And he's like, you know what? Fuck that. Just stand in. You can't see. Stand in my chair. And so he picks his chair up, opens it, gets the little girl up on his chair. She's like 8 or 9 or something like that, so she can see. And, you know, Louis is telling the other guy, he's fucking cool, pointing at me. He's fucking cool. You know, I was bumping into him and shit. I grabbed him. He was fucking cool, man. He ain't on no bullshit. And he was like, yeah, I spit in his chair. And he was completely cool with it. I'm like, I wasn't cool with it. I was fucking hot about the shit, to be quite honest. You know, like, that was not, wasn't expecting somebody to spit in my fucking chair. I want orthopedic shoes in this motherfucker, okay? I don't want to stand here all night. All right? Come on, man. Cut me some slack. So, because I don't want to cause a scene, he apologized. All right. I got to get another chair. All right? So as they were chatting in the ring, I had to find another chair. So, you know, the next match is the tag team championship match. And I'm standing there and I'm looking for open chairs to go and grab a chair. And I see the tag team champions. And they're fucking zombies. Full Walking Dead Z Nation fucking zombies. I was like, what the fuck? They doing the full Walking Dead affectations. Even making the makeup is tremendous. You see like the goop around the mouth that goes down the chest, the clothes, the stringy hair. They look like twins. I was enamored with these guys, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I popped big for that fucking gimmick. I popped huge for the gimmick. I was like, I gotta see how this is gonna work. How do you have wrestling zombies that are in full gimmick like this? How are you gonna do it? And they're the champions, no less. So how are you gonna do it? So their opponents are the Brothers of Funstruction, which is a pair of clowns. They used to be in NWA, so I've seen them before. But I'm watching this match. Now, I don't want to stand up, but I am. And I'm watching this thing. And let me tell you, one of the zombies is in the ring, right? And the other one is in the corner going, but he's like still in full Walking Dead zombie mode. This zombie knows the fucking rules of a wrestling match. It is ridiculous, okay? Nobody else is noticing this except me. Like, nobody else is talking about how crazy these fucking zombies are. I'm talking to Louis now. Like, yo, you see this shit? Like, these guys are fucking zombies. He's following the fucking rules. I watch WWE and AEW and these perfectly identified people wrestling under their real names can't follow the fucking rules. This guy is a fucking zombie. And he's got the tag rope. He's like reaching out, gurgling and shit. Trying to get the bruh, what the hell is going on here? Okay. Now, I'm officially having too much fun. All right. There's a tag team match in the ring. Zombies versus fucking clowns. Bro, I popped. Huge pop. I I couldn't have more fun with this fucking zombies. I couldn't tell you whether they could work or not because I was astonished at their dedication to the gimmick. How dedicated they were to every element of The Walking Dead. They didn't half-ass it. I love that shit. You know, like, wrestling can be ridiculous like that. And it's the indies, so who cares? If it was national television, I think more people would notice that these zombies playing by the rules. They're babyface zombies, apparently. Now, what makes me think that they're babyface zombies, which is an oddball thing because zombies are naturally heels, right? They eat people. Cannibalism is a bad thing, last time I checked. But the Brothers of Funstruction, they get a crooked referee to count three, so, you know, the referee fast counts the zombies. And the zombies lose. But they no-sell losing. And they continue to do their zombie all that just continue. Their manager is the one arguing and yelling and stuff. So, oh my God. So, they attack the referee who cheated them and they spit in his face. Like, spew, like, mist in his face. And the other referees and medics and stuff come out to try to check this guy. The manager put some kind of stuff on him. Somebody told me like they do a gimmick where they poison you, and if you don't get the anti-venom or whatever, you become a zombie. So the manager is like pouring stuff in his mouth or whatever. And I'm like, they are really dedicated to this fucking gimmick. All right. They're all in. If you're going to do a stupid gimmick, going all in is the best way to get it over. All right. That's the best way to get it over. All right. So at this point, man, it's 10 o'clock. Your boy is wiped out. I took a couple of naps, but your boy is wiped out, man. I was like, oh no, too much is going on. All right. So my mood improves because I found a new chair. The little girl gets out of Louie's chair. I just swapped my chair with Louie's chair and just sat my ass down. Okay. So Louie he's suffering at this point. But he came back with another drink. He's got another shot. He's like, bro, I got a fucking shot for you. I'm like, I don't drink. I'm good. And he's like, oh, fuck it. He drinks half of it and then offers like, you sure? I'm like, I definitely don't want it now that you're drunk out of it. No way, bro. Thanks, though, but no. You're the fucking man, bro. Downs it. All right. Whatever it was brown. You know, he's having too much fun. So the main event is up next. It was announced as a last man standing match. Now, earlier in the night, it was not announced as a last man standing match. It was no disqualification or something like that. So they're saying now, last man standing, James Storm versus Mr. Anderson. They completely forgot about the $10,000 blood bounty. That's in the wind. And they start wrestling. They have a wrestling match. And they start fighting on the bar. So I'm on the floor of Harpo's. They're on the bar of Harpo's, which is up the stairs. They go up the stairs and they're fighting on the bar. And well, basically not on the bar, the dance floor. And they work their way over to the bar. So everybody's surrounding them. Because now they're in the crowd, all right? And they're the people who are at the bar are there. They're on top of them. You know, then they work themselves down the stairs. They're coming in my direction. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm getting bumped. I'm getting elbowed and bumped by everybody at this point. And I'm stupid. I'm trying to take pictures, and instead of being in the moment, I'm trying to take pictures, and I'm taking pictures, and the slightly off because I got bumped, slightly fucked up because this guy is in the way. And James Storm picks up a trash can and hits Mr. Kennedy in the head with it. And they're walking brawling, like Abdullah the Butcher and Bruiser Brody. So James Storm, I think it was James Storm. He grabs Anderson by the head and he's walking towards the guardrail. As he walks by, this guy who is he's wearing an Insane Clown Posse jersey. There's so many of them, right? And he looks, and as James Storm walks by, he's like, I swear to God, he said this. He's like, "Oh God, you are so caked up." And I was like, "What?" Bro, I was almost on the flow. All right. I was almost, if it wasn't for like people spilling beer and shit on the floors, I probably would have fell down like a cartoon character, like a fucking anime character, bro. Like he literally said, and it's not, James Storm definitely heard him. All right. He definitely heard him because I heard him. All right. So they fighting. Kennedy starts asking people to get out of the way. He wants to do something to James Storm that's right in front of us. He's like, "Get out of the way. Get the fuck out of the way." And then the guy in the goddamn wheelchair, he can't move. All right. He can't move. He can't do anything. So Ken Anderson gets behind the guy, takes his wheelchair and pushes him against the wall. And then says, "Everybody else get the fuck out of the way." And then he kind of does like an Irish whip into all the empty chairs and shit. The crowd chanting, everybody's all happy. It was the best match of the night. It was very fun. Despite the fact that it was announced as last man standing, they're in the ring trying to pin each other. I was blown. My mind was blown. Then somebody else taps me on the shoulder. I turn around. There's a blunt right here in my face. And he's looking like, "Go ahead and smoke it. I'm passing it to everybody." I was like, I am good. Now this guy, also wearing an Insane Clown Posse jersey, but he looks like the Grand Wizard of Juggalos. All right. Great, full gray beard. Not like salt and pepper. Louis' beard is fully black and wild all over his face. This guy, he looks like he's been riding with the clown since like 1990. All right. Full gray beard, gray eyebrows. And I'm like, no. He just pats the shoulder of the guy right next to me. "Here." And that guy looks at him like, who the fuck? Who the fuck and what the fuck? Now, again, he's with his girlfriend. And she's been snuggled up with him until Ken Kennedy came and moved the fat guy and threw everybody into the chairs. So now the two of them are standing up, and she is not happy about being in the middle of the wrestling show. And now this random dude is offering her husband / boyfriend some weed, and she don't want no part of that, and he don't either. So the match is going on in the ring. They're on the other side of the building now. We can barely see them. Some guy comes down the stairs, and he's looking in the aisleway. And then he reaches behind me and taps the guy who was with his girlfriend / wife. Taps him on the shoulder. And he says, "Bro, tap him on the shoulder, bro." And so the guy looks at him. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Tap him, bro." And the guy he very politely pokes the guy on the shoulder. He's like, "Tap him, fucking tap him, man." So he kind of taps just a little bit harder. The guy turns around to look at this guy, and the guy points at him. He says, "This guy wants you." And he turns around, he looks at him, he's like, "Hey, bro, I need you to tap that motherfucker, bro." And he looks, he's like, "What?" He's like, "Tap that guy." So it's like a third guy that he wants the guy to tap. So this guy is looking like, he's like, "What?" And then he was like, "Old guy, fucking tap that man." So he goes, and old guy finally taps the third guy. Third guy turns around, looks at the old guy. The old guy points at him. He looks, and he's like, "Fuck you, man." And they know each other. So the last guy who was in the front fucking row, he knows the guy that's behind me, and they're apparently friends. So instead of going around, especially since everything is discombobulated now because there's chairs flown all over the place, most of us are standing up because the chairs are gone. Instead of going around and talking to him, he has created this chain of taps where everybody's but he knows this guy, and they're friends, and they start dapping each other up and all this kind of stuff, and he thanks everybody for helping him and all that. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So in the ring, Matt Cross, M Dog, who is wrestling in Lucha Underground, he attacks both Ken Anderson and James Storm, and the match is thrown out, so no contest. Another Vince Russo staple, a no contest. So the match is thrown out. Nobody bled, so no $10,000 bounty either. And that was the end of the show. After that, people started filing out. As I was walking past, I realized, and I swear to God, I didn't even notice it. Quite a few of the wrestlers were taking pictures with fans. You know, like the Neon Ninja guy, that Jeeves fellow, Matt Cross. Soon as he attacked Ken Anderson and all of them, he mugged for the hard cam, and then he ran back to the merch table because he was selling merchandise at the merch table. And I'm bigger than all of these people. I didn't even realize it. Like the only two guys that I probably couldn't have took in a fight was Ken Anderson and James Storm. Everybody else, I had a pretty good shot. All right, so I finally get a shot at the merch table. It's mostly T-shirts. They got that book they were selling, but they were packing up everything and leaving. A lot of folks were headed over to the corner to get a free turkey. I decided to keep the coin as a memento. Plus, my job had already given me a free turkey. So I slipped out into the Detroit night. It was about 10:30 when the show was over, and this is my full wrap up here. Being at a Juggalo event, for me, it was like showing up to somebody else's birthday party or somebody else's barbecue and not knowing anybody that was there. It seemed like everybody knew somebody. And the guys that I did meet, they were the nicest guys in the world. They were a little handsy, all right? A little too much of that, the touching and the fist bumping and the side hugs and all that kind of stuff. But it seemed very affectionate and not aggressive. But it seemed like they wanted to be friendly. Like they viewed everybody that was there as a part of their clique. That was part of the crew. Even if you've never been there before. And I remember Louie was telling the big dude after he spit in my chair, he's never been to a fucking gathering. Tell him how cool the fucking gathering is. And Louie didn't know this guy. But, I guess kind of they had like some kind of Vulcan mind meld where Louie knew that this guy had been to a gathering before. And they end up becoming friends, And I was just like, wow, I had never had that sort of experience at a wrestling show. It's literally like showing up at somebody else's birthday party. It was very weird. The show itself was a indie wrestling show. There was nothing spectacular about it. I had a lot of fun with the main event. I always have fun when matches come into the crowd. When GCW had matches come into the crowd, I used to have fun with those. So I had a lot of fun when these guys get closer. But the atmosphere with, that woman that was taking pictures earlier, she was still taking pictures at 9:30. She had a professional camera, and she was taking pictures of people who was up on the balcony. She was telling them to pose and everything. She was yelling at them, pose, motherfucker, all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, this is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I gotta go again. So on December the 21st, I will be going. And I'm going to see if any of the people that I saw here, if I can remember them. I probably won't remember them. But if I can remember them, maybe they'll still be there. But I see now why ICP has been going on for so long. It's a very, very niche audience. And they bond over having similar personalities because they come from a similar background. They're from a similar area. It really works out for them. And I gotta admit that I appreciated it. Will I go to a gathering? No. No way. I don't care what Louis says. But just being in that venue at that time was remarkable. It's the most unique wrestling experience I've ever had. And I've been to WrestleMania. I've been to like JCW now. I've been to TNA. I've been to WWE. I've been to AEW shows. I went to Bound for Glory. This is the most unique wrestling show I've ever been to. Because it wasn't just wrestling fans that was there. It was people who were fans of a band and a brand that just happened to have wrestling involved. And they brought that energy and that attitude to the wrestling audience. And it was very unique. But if you guys have an opportunity to go, I suggest going, especially if you're not a fan of the brand. You might actually have a unique experience. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you later.